the band. Come on out. I want to welcome Denis Leary, who created the show, writes, stars, plays Johnny Rock. Elaine Hendrix. Sorry, I'm peeking to see who's next. She plays Ava. Liz Gillies, who plays the daughter Gigi. John Corbett on guitar as Flash. Oh, I'm sorry, Robert Kelly on drums as Bam Bam. Corbett and John Ailes as Rehab on bass.
Oh my God.
Welcome, everyone. So that kind of gave you a little bit of sense of the show, though I have to say when I watch that and even describing the show, you don't necessarily get a sense of how funny the show is. And the tone of the show is really unlike other things that I see on TV now. Talk to me a little bit about that, about coming up with the overall for the tone of the show.
Well, our approach was to basically make you laugh your ass off several times out loud in the course of every half hour. Maybe a little smidgen of dramatic tension every once in a while, but really we're just there to make you laugh your ass off every week, out loud a couple of times at least.
By the way, just watching this song, Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, like everyone's kind of like bouncing their heads up and down. And I saw you guys before you came in doing that also. Do you like sleep and wake up and hear this song?
No. I think we've all stopped hearing this song because we've heard it so many times, especially in the editing room and the sound mix for me. So the last time I saw it was in Comic-Con when they played the trailer at Comic-Con, and probably before that was like Bonnaroo or something. So no, I've been inundated with the show now, so it's time to let the world go out there and judge it,
Yeah, and we should say the show premieres tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow night, 10, FX.
On
and it's
FX.
on for 10 weeks straight.
That's right. So, what was the moment, Denis, when you said, okay, this is the show I'm going to do next. This is what I want to write about. This is what's calling me.
I have a lot of friends who are close friends of mine, the guys that I knew since I was a teenager who became professional rock and roll musicians. None of them are famous, but they've played in some semi-famous bands that were going to be really famous and then broke up. So I had a lot of experience watching the drug and alcohol abuse and the jealousy and the bitterness and the resentment and the desire to be famous and the blaming. And I just thought that they're like dysfunctional families. So that's what I wanted to do,
So tell me about this dysfunctional family. I guess if all of you could talk to me a little bit about what spoke to you about your characters.
Oh, my character, Bam Bam. Yeah, well, I'm the drummer in the band, and I'm very much like the drummer in this group, too, because I'm at the end. And
you sat yourself there.
Do you understand the disappointment that the women, I felt the air. When she said John Corbett and I walked out, they went, what the fuck happened to John? like John was doing heroin. What was he eating? Eating and heroin? What? Like something bad happened. And look at how gorgeous you are.
You know what? We should do that. John should get introduced on Jimmy Kimmel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Corbett and have you just walk out and not fucking say a thing about it. And start talking about fucking,
do you have any,
Sex in the City and,
do you have any women
Bo Derek,
Cell phones would just be ringing like women.
What's going on with John Corbett?
Turn it on right now.
Caitlin who? Look what happened.
Johnny lost his shit. No, I'm the drummer of the band, and this is my family, and Johnny's my mom, and he's my father, and they're my sisters, and that's my brother Rehab, who.
Okay, I'm not your father.
No, my mother. No, you're
the
my
mother.
I'm your mother?
Yeah. You're more my mom. You're loud. You scream, Robert.
Yeah, that's because you don't know your lines.
That's fucked up.
We should say you learned to play drums for this role.
I did. I learned to play drums. That was crazy. That was, because I know Denis, and I know he'd yell at me if I didn't know how to play. So because you're my mom, and I learned how to play, and then when I got on set, they hooked me up with Dennis's drummer. It was crazy because I had to learn lines, and then had to go to drum rehearsal and learn songs, being a musician for 3 months But now, you know, I can play the drums. You said you don't listen to the songs anymore. I play the song every day. I wake up and I play Sex and Drugs at least once a day on the drums.
So, are you putting me down? Are you like, that's a put down of me?
How did you make it about that?
Because you said you went like this. This was your tone. You went like this. You went, you don't listen to the song. But I play it every fucking day. That was your tone. That was your tone.
Mom. This is what my mom would do.
This is not mom. This is your older brother who's sick and tired of your fucking shit. You're trying to put me down. I can't listen to the song anymore because I heard it a million times.
Yes.
By the way, this is like 20
great.
times more functional than the family on the show.
Well, this relationship, you know, I just don't understand. I think he's looking for love. Maybe I didn't give him enough. Not as his mother, as Dennis.
Let me give him some love right now, because if you play an instrument out there, probably you play a guitar like I do, and I can just take a guitar and take you, if you've never done it, and really show you how to play 3 chords in about a half hour, and you can sing an Eagles song. Sitting down to the drums is a whole other ball of wax, man. If you've ever tried it, it's so complicated. It really is that pat your head and touch your belly. And
Aww.
I just
It's
want to
true.
say
That's what love is.
He really does. Here's some love. He really works at it to play those drums.
Thank you, John.
Hours and hours a day. It's not
John.
easy, man.
Thank
You
you,
practiced
John.
really hard, and you're really good now.
Thank you.
And we
Thank you,
love you,
John.
Bobby,
Thank
and you're
Liz.
basically the best
We like you
musician I've
better.
ever known. I
Thank
love you.
you.
I love
Thank you,
Bobby.
John.
In
Bit of
fact,
a
I own all your
good cop,
albums.
bad cop situation going on here.
Thank you, everybody.
We love you, Bobby.
Everybody.
Bobby.
Thank you.
I'll buy you a
Love
pizza
you, Bobby.
later.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, you're welcome.
I love you.
John,
I know you do.
From where?
did you?
Joe's?
Lombardi's.
Yeah, Jessica, you got to jump in here. This is going to go on
Corbett,
all
did you?
night.
I have a feeling this is many takes of different. John, you obviously perform and you've got a band. Was this a nice opportunity to sort of blend these two worlds of yours?
I've been in the last few years. I was doing when you're an out of work actor, if you get lucky, every year you get a pilot, right, to do a TV show, and they make the pilot, and then you wait for almost a year to see if it happens, and usually it doesn't happen because there's so many. It's like spaghetti on the wall. They throw it up, and only 1 or 2 strands are going to stick, and it's another year of disappointment that you've waited for, and it. Yeah, and welcome to show business. It's happened to all of us, and it just happened to me with a show on CBS, a big spinoff of NCIS, and it didn't happen, and I was just down in the dumps about it, and I got a call one day that Denis Leary created a new show called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. They had me right there, but he wanted me to play a guy named Flash, the lead guitar player, and I was ready to do it because it was for FX. I watched Dennis on Rescue Me for 7 years, and I did read it, but I didn't have to. I would have said yes anyway, just based on the 5-minute breakdown of what the show was, and I'm so happy because once again, we made a pilot called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, and then jumped into that same thing, waiting to see if they would pick it up. And, part of me knew that they weren't, and it was going to be another year of disappointment. But man, God bless them. They did it, and we just did a series that comes on tomorrow night.
That's right. And it's so nice, I should say, to have good scripted comedy in the summer, which is not doesn't happen a lot. John Ailes, you also learned to play bass too. You were like, I'm not casting a bunch of musicians here, right?
Well, I only really had to have the lead guitar player had to know that instrument, had to at least be comfortable with the guitar, because that's very difficult to fake just all the time. Having to be concerned about whether somebody was moving the right way with the guitar on concerned me. So that's why I wrote that part with John in mind. I knew he played guitar and he sang. I figured I could cover the drum and the bass parts if the actors couldn't really learn them. It was more important to me, the relationship, the actors playing the 2 roles and their relationship together. My daughter had to be able to sing. I wanted to use live vocals as often as I could instead of lip syncing. And to John and Bobby's credit, by the last 2 episodes, they were actually playing the instruments in the takes as we were recording them, which is amazing. And Elaine really sings and dances, so that was a plus. Ailes just sent me a great self-tape that, for the audition. I couldn't find somebody that was the perfect energy for the bass player. He sent the tape. We said, this guy's great. He lied and said he could play the bass, so we hired him. And then we found out he couldn't fucking play the bass.
There's a great moment, I think it's in the first episode.
You learn in a hurry. Yeah.
With Liz, when Liz opens her mouth and starts singing, and I think a lot of people are familiar with her from Victorious or whatever.
Thank
Yeah. But oh my God, I had no idea. What was it like for you all? I mean, obviously you had met with her, so you knew she could sing, but it's a very powerful moment in the show when you're like, holy shit, she can really do this.
Well, it's like if I didn't do it well in that scene, the whole series would have been like, because we're pushing this person who's supposed to be able to sing, and you wanted to do it live, which I loved, and I felt like it was really important. You know, we all really learned to play instruments, and I really sang live every time. So did Dennis, and I mean, it's amazing. You wrote great music. We're all happy to, I think, sing it and play it, and we feel like a real band. You know, the music is authentic in the show. But yeah, for me, I mean, coming off Nickelodeon and doing something like this, it's a dream. I mean, it's crazy. This authentic rock and roll music and to sing live, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more. It's amazing.
So Elaine, is what we're seeing here with this family, is this basically what it was like shooting?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Every day, and it's 24/7. So we're this way during the scene. We're this way when they yell "cut" in between the scenes. We're this way on the ride home. We're this way when we hang out together. After getting home, it is 24/7.
You know, I think showing the kind of the rock and roll world and the dysfunctionality of, if that's a word, of that whole thing. It has to be so exact and so dead on, or else it reads fake. And the show is the opposite of that. It as a viewer, it reads so true, and just the way that the characters talk to each other, the way the performances are. I mean, how hard was that?
Well, the tech advisors are all, Bobby's drum teacher, the guys that worked with the rest of the band on their instruments. They're all real musicians. So we had that on our side. No matter what was going on in the scene, if we had to do something musically, we knew we had the right advice. But I've also hung around these guys long enough. A lot of these arguments that are in the episodes are things that I lifted from arguments I'd witnessed my friends having in their own bands. John has his own band, so John knows what the deal is. So when my character's getting into a fight with John, they were the kind of scenes where literally the first take was as good as the third take, because he's completely jealous of me and I'm jealous of him. He knows the groove. So after a while, we really just had art. We'd call cut, and there'd be a lighting setup, and we would sit around and argue, all of us.
Yeah.
You know?
But so I always like to jump in here too, because something that is so unique to working with Dennis and Dennis with FX is that as actors, like, so often we go to sets where we have to like say the lines perfectly and match every single move that we do. But with Dennis, he likes it very raw and real. And so we had multiple cameras going on at every time. It was just messy and overlapping and a lot of improv. And I think that energy is what got captured. And I think that's what makes us really very special.
Yeah, I like to improv. I like to...
And were you all cool with that? Was that scary for some of you? I mean,
I'm more comfortable doing that.
Me too.
But a lot of times you don't get to do that because you have a director who's different, a writer who's different, or writers, producers. He's everybody. So he can just say, this is what just go. You know what I mean? So he knows what he wants, and he knows when he gets it too. Because the best thing is like, me and Rehab are doing a thing together, and to hear him crack up off, because you're not supposed to laugh, but to make him laugh is like you're like, yes, we did. That was it.
We had one very special day where
Yeah.
I remember making Dennis laugh.
Yeah.
One.
No,
What
there was one
happened?
special day. There was one very
Only
special
one.
day.
What'd you do, Ailes?
He pulled his
It was all
pants
off-
down.
It was all off camera. I don't remember.
Yeah,
so
whenever
improv
those
is
characters
awesome.
had a
This is our
scene,
stuff.
whenever Bam Bam and Rehab have a scene together, sometimes I had to go outside because I'm going to ruin the take. These guys are so fucking funny, and when they're arguing with each other and they start to improvise within the idea of what we wrote, and they're both on camera. Usually, we have a camera over each guy's shoulder. They would just, I can't even begin to tell you. Lots of it's in the show, but in the editing room, we would just die laughing. But I died on the set. I mean, sometimes I ruined the take because I just couldn't.
We all did.
I
There were
mean,
times we all ruined
there's
it.
I think it's either an episode, maybe it's in one or two, when there's probably a 5-minute scene where the guys in the band are trying to figure out different words to describe Gigi's body.
that's the
Oh, yes.
pilot.
And it is.
Right.
It's maybe in the first
first
episode.
episode.
Tomorrow night at 10 on FX.
Yep.
That is so funny, and I mean,
It's not funny for my father.
They're torturing me. It's when the guys decide to torture me about how they should refer to different parts of my daughter's body, you know, as a code when she's around, so they can talk about how sexy she is. God, I don't. We had like 4 cameras going on in that scene, I think.
We're always shooting in a circle with a ton of cameras, and so you've always got to make it.
It's like theater.
We always
gotta be
gotta
on. It's like
alive.
theater
It's
in the
like
round.
theater.
Yeah.
It is like theater, and you know we shoot every rehearsal, it seems, except for the first stumble.
Shoot the rehearsals.
And you got to shoot rehearsals, you guys. You got to shoot rehearsals.
That's very
Listen to me. If you learn
Soderbergh of you.
anything today,
Well, I tell you
shoot
what.
a rehearsal.
You have to shoot a rehearsal. I did a movie years ago with Clint Eastwood, and I'd heard that he did this, and I asked him about it, and he said, some actors don't like it, so I don't say I'm shooting. I don't even say that the cameras are up. But we go in the room and start rehearsing, and I was doing a scene with him and James Woods, and he said, me and Clint were on one side of the camera, and they acted like the camera wasn't on, and James just went crazy and did this giant monologue, and at the end of it, Clint said, got it. All right, moving on. And I'd shot the rehearsal. You never know. An actor might give a great performance in the rehearsal and never get back to that spot. I mean, for me, as an actor, film is really difficult. It's a difficult environment because you're going to do something really intense that's involved in the scene for 5 minutes, then nothing for 40 minutes while we reset and relight, and then come back in and try to capture that energy again. Everything in the film process is just working against the actor. So as I worked with people like Clint Eastwood and Barry Levinson, and Ted Demme was great at it, I just realized all you got to do is put up multiple cameras. That's what Steven Spielberg does. That's what Soderbergh does. It's what Scorsese does. You put up multiple cameras. You shoot the fucking rehearsal. Once we get in the room, everybody stops their work and we go. And it's just like live theater, and you can see it on the actors' performances. It's you feel like everybody's alive. It's because it is. You know.
Yeah, no, it definitely shows in the show. There are other moments where you guys, some of your characters might like take down a popular band like Radiohead or Katy Perry or anything. When you wrote that, or when someone improv'd it and you decided to leave it in, were you anticipating or the Kardashians, or there's like a Bruce Jenner line in there? Are you like, we're gonna get some backlash for this?
No, because the show, underneath it all, the show is really about. It's about family, but it's also about fame. And it's about people who are desperate for fame and people who, especially in the music business, in Johnny's case, very critical of anybody who's made it that he doesn't consider, the right group of people. Meanwhile, if Katy Perry walked into that studio space, he'd be the first guy to go, oh my God, I love you. You're my favorite. Can I get you a Pepsi? What do you want? Anybody famous, he'd be the first person to kiss their ass. So, that's the thing. He wants to be famous in the worst way. And, I think that's evident in the
And I
show.
think we got lucky too with the whole Bruce Jenner thing. We didn't know. We shot that a year ago, so we didn't know Bruce Jenner was going to be wearing ladies' undies a year later, man. And that's just a happy accident, I think, because there's a good Bruce Jenner bit
we
in there.
knew. I think we all knew that he was, headed in that direction. So, but the thing that's key in that scene is not Bruce or Kate. It's the idea that the son is famous, and he's not even on the television show necessarily. He's just a DJ. But the whole family is so famous that to Johnny, it's just like, how does this happen? How am I not famous, and this kid who's a DJ has paparazzi shooting him as he walks into the hotel? That's the nature of the beast now, Fame is everywhere,
Yeah,
There's a kid I saw a kid's name someplace we were today. He was called Vine, famed Vine artist.
Vine star.
Vine star. And I saw the kid's name and I was like, who is that guy? Obviously, he's a big star. You probably know who he is, right?
You have to give him a name.
I can't remember his name.
Well, there you go.
He's so psyched that you just said his name, by the way. He's like, Dennis Leary knows who
Dennis
I
Leary
am.
almost said my name. He's very psyched.
Every single person on Vine thinks it's them.
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
way,
right,
now when
right.
they're watching, they're like,
Talk to me about writing these songs, because you needed great songs and great music, and the short, or it would be like, no, this isn't ringing true.
Well, I was very lucky. Greg Dooley, who's the lead singer and songwriter for the Afghan Wigs and the Twilight Singers, I got him to bring the Afghan Wigs, essentially, except their bass player John Curley, into the studio, and we were able to go in there for a week and create the Heathen songs from the early 90s when they were supposedly about to be big. And then our technical advisors, which are a group of 5 or 6 really terrific rock and roll musicians, lifelong session guys and live players. They went in for 3 weeks with me and the rest of the cast, and especially Liz. So a lot of the credit goes to those guys and the time that we had in the studio. That was really key. It was like about a month before we started shooting. We just spent tons of time on the music, every single day going in there at Electric Lady.
Which was the coolest.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
great.
Electric
So amazing.
Lady.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Jimi Hendrix's studio. If you
Heard
don't
of him?
know. Yeah.
That's right. There's some fun guest stars, and I've only seen the first 5, but we get to see Dave Grohl and Joan Jett in like a great episode and moment. Loved seeing her. And I understand Kelly Bishop from Gilmore Girls
Yes.
plays your
She's
mom.
so great.
Yeah.
She's everything.
She's everything I want to be.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
That's the episode my grandmother can't watch.
Why?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
mine
We all
too.
have one that we'd rather people.
We all have an
certain people
episode that
not
you like.
see.
Your
Oh,
grandma
yes,
can-
yes. Don't give that away.
We're
I will
not
not.
going to.
Okay.
But my grandmother cannot, Irish Catholic Boston, cannot watch.
Something happens to Bam Bam at the end of episode 7, I think.
Or
it
at
is.
or at the beginning.
Or at the beginning, and it's very funny.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think any of your
No, my grandmother would break a rosary.
yeah.
She watched that.
I don't think your mom should watch it. I don't think
No, my mom was from the 60s. She can watch it.
No.
Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. I just remembered another piece. Yeah, no.
your mom can't
I don't
watch
think
it.
my wife can watch it.
I don't think your wife should watch it.
So are there, I mean, I'm sure, for season 2, which of course will be coming, do you each have like your dream person that you want to see either make a cameo? I mean, certainly the show, the subject matter is, open to a billion options.
Bobby?
We'll go down the line.
What John just did freak me out. I'm sorry.
What'd you do?
I
Do it
can't.
again.
I
He wasn't
can't. I
paying
couldn't tell my
attention.
grandmother. Show Dennis.
You want to ask the question again? You want me
Sorry.
to ask? him?
Who's your dream? You ask it because he will
Hey,
answer
asshole.
you.
Listen up, okay? If there's a season 2,
You know what?
No. It's
Let me-
when there's a season 2,
Okay,
Dennis.
when
Come
there's a
on.
season 2,
Yes.
are you paying attention?
Asshole,
Okay,
asshole.
Look,
Pay attention.
I changed. You're the mom. You're all 3 of my dads. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right.
Yes.
If there's a second season.
Second
and-
season.
And I came to you and I said, "Hey, is
What's
there?"
up?
This is what I'm fucking talking about. It's
Every
like,
day.
I'm listening.
Okay.
That helps me listen
and,
when I
and
act
I
it
said
out.
you got to pick a special guest star to come on and be on an episode. Who would that be?
Guest star or rock and roll?
It's Bobby's moment.
I would. It's my moment. Thank you. I would pick Jack White.
Great.
That's cool.
I mean, Jack White, funny,
pick, yes.
funny,
That's a really good pick.
talented. I mean,
pick.
Good
He'll
answer.
hang out with
Good
any
pick.
drummer.
Bobby, that was a great answer.
thank you. And I could play all those songs.
That's awesome, dude.
It's pretty easy, right?
John, let's just go right down the
John
line.
Corbett,
Give me your
you're-
dream casting.
Who would I have? I would like Nick Summers to come on our show, played by the excellent from Saturday Night Live, Bill Murray. Nick
Ooh.
Summers. Yeah.
Good idea.
Oh, skip me. I'm still looking at the menu. I want Elvis Costello. I'm an Elvis Costello freak. My daughter's name is Declan. Her middle name is Declan after Elvis. When I met him in person by accident last year at an ice skating rink, and I found myself being introduced to him, and he says, "I'm Elvis." I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. That guy could say, "I'm Elvis."
And mean it.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I want to do a scene with Elvis.
That's a good one.
Mine's always Steven Tyler. I'm sticking with that
Yeah,
one.
that's
I want that
Steven Tyler.
badly.
Well, Dennis, don't you know him?
he does.
I do. Yes.
So what's going on?
I know that he does.
I don't know. I think I have a.
You just don't want to give me what I want.
Every time I talk to Steven about doing something, he wants me to do something for him, and so.
So do something for Steven Tyler.
Huh?
I'll do it. Elect me.
Okay. All right.
What is it?
It's a colonoscopy he likes to have done at home.
I'll do it.
I think Steven Tyler would be great.
Yeah.
I think he'd be great.
Elaine?
Debbie Harry. Who
Yes.
Dennis also knows.
Yes, I love Debbie Harry. I'd say Debbie Harry. I'm with her. Debbie Harry.
That's
Great actress.
amazing.
Icon. Terrific.
Blondie.
Yeah, I love Debbie Harry.
I can't wait for season 2. I want to open it up to some questions.
2 things. One, John, I saw your band in Austin, Texas a while ago. Yes, keeping it weird. Good shit.
Wow. Do you remember what the venue?
Stubbs Barbecue.
Oh, yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
You played a barbecue?
Well, it's like
it's a
Hey,
great-
is that where we ate?
It's a really good menu.
Yeah, we went there. That place is outside, right?
It was such.
Sorry.
It was so fun.
No, we
Sorry.
were at a Wiener House.
No, we were
No,
not.
we were at Stubbs
We
Barbecue.
were not at a Wiener House.
No, it's a Wiener House. It was the.
So
That's
different.
what me and you at the Wiener.
Oh yes,
Hey,
no,
can she ask her question?
Sorry.
that was more of
Sorry,
a code
sorry.
name.
Yes. Well, I was looking at the episode titles and I saw Tattoo You and Lust for Life. I was just curious as to the process of picking the episode titles and what Iggy Pop and the Stones brought to the show.
Wow.
That's all you
Dennis
did.
Leary, take it away.
I just like to pick my favorite song phrases or titles and use them just to kind of. I mean, if we're gonna do a show about rock and roll, I'd like to incorporate some tribute sort of element to some of the great rock songs. Although there is one that's called an episode called Supercalifragilistic Julie fucking Andrews.
That's not a song.
That's about my
yet.
mom. So, but otherwise, it's part of the fun for me is picking a great phrase or a great song title to use.
I just want to point out when Dennis said that right now, and then he laughed at his own joke. That's his real laugh. Because most people, they have a good fake laugh. We all have one if someone says, ha, ha, ha. And Dennis has one too. Oh, that's funny. But when he really laughs, his teeth go together and he does this. And that's how you know you really made Dennis laugh.
So cute.
Well, there is something I love about, and I think all of you guys are so game for this in the show, that there are these moments where you're not showing like a pretty picture. You're showing, 20 years ago we were going to be something, and there's a great line. I think, Dennis, your Johnny's manager says to him, like, you look like Bryan Adams' grandfather or something. Yeah. I mean, and it's so, I love it that you're just willing to go there. It doesn't seem like there's much ego in the writing.
Well, we all have our moments where there's absolutely no vanity in the course of the 10 episodes. I mean, for Johnny, it happens a lot. But we all get knocked down to the most basic, no matter what you think of yourself, you don't look that great today, right now, moment. We actually, all of us have multiple moments like that. So I think that's kind of key. If we're going to be in the rock and roll world, which is full of and people that want to be famous and therefore full of vanity and ego, we got to keep blowing that up a little bit. We all look like shit at certain points in this show, and it's really fucking funny, I think.
All right, more questions? Just raise your hands high because they're going to come around with mics.
I wanted to say it's a huge honor just to be talking to you right now because I saw you back in 13 and it was
Thank you.
amazing. And I knew
What's
I
your
had
name?
My name is Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth. Nice to meet you. Oh my
What is 13?
gosh.
What's 13?
13 was
13.
a
show
Broadway,
that she was
Broadway
in.
show I did when I was 15. I lied, but I didn't have to be 13. But it's wonderful
Lucy
that you
was her
saw it.
character name. I even remember your name.
Of course. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's so sweet.
I wanted to ask you though, what would you say would be the biggest transition from going from Nickelodeon to a show like this?
Well, there's a whole bunch of them, obviously. The biggest one, I mean, the language is a big one, the content is a big one. But for me, the biggest thing that I was the most proud of with the show is, Victorious was a sitcom and it was light and it's for kids. And this one, I mean, you gave me a whole list of different notes to play and there was drama in there and I got to cry in an episode and I got to do all this different stuff that I don't think anyone who likes things that I've done in the past has seen me do. So I wasn't even sure if I could, I thought I could. I'm glad that I hopefully did. But I was proud of it, and I hope everyone else will see that I can do more than one thing. And, that was the best for me, to do more than one thing and to show that I maybe have some chops in other areas too, maybe. You can be the judge of it.
I'm thinking about a specific scene that's very dramatic that Liz, you and Dennis do together. How was that thinking, deciding how much drama to write
Which
into a
one?
comedy when you're talking about, I don't want to ruin it. Like,
Well,
do you love me?
oh, that's one.
Oh, yeah. A lot of it, we
Was
would
improv.
just we just
Was it really?
improvise it.
Wow.
We
And-
had lines and
Yeah.
we threw them out the window.
And then I could play with it in editing because I would shoot both sides at the same time, and then don't worry about how long or how just feel it, let it feel itself out, and then in the editing room I find the beats.
Yeah, and you felt like it was something that you felt safe enough to put right in enough drama into the show.
It's early on. I think
Yeah.
it's episode 3. It's
I
maybe
did.
first scene episode 3.
I think in episode 2, she there's a scene where she takes him into into the kitchen of the studio and says,
I lay it all out for you, basically.
Basically tells him he's got to straighten up and fly right. I did the same thing, just 2 cameras. We kind of knew what we were doing. And
we throw curveballs, though, for sure.
So, and then I find it in the editing room.
But it's great. It's one of the things that makes the show feel different, because you go back and forth in genres a little bit.
I hope so.
Yeah.
My question is for Liz. Do you think it's better to have a mentor? Because Gigi comes in, with Johnny, and he's never made it. So do you think it's better to have a mentor who's done everything wrong, and you can learn from that? Or is it better to have a mentor who's done everything right?
By the way, she's one of the best fans ever. She's making amazing videos for us, really funny Vine stuff. I'm super happy.
You don't need to put our
it.
business out in front of everybody.
Ever. But I won't talk about that. So I mean, it's always a clearer message, I think, when you have an example of somebody who went down a path that you're hoping to go down. And I mean, almost everything was kind of done incorrectly. It's kind of a crash course, I think. But with that, there is wisdom that Johnny imparts to Gigi, and you do teach me. But I think that inherent thing of seeing what a screw up he was with drugs and all that substance abuse is what kept her clean, and her not wanting to touch any of that. And it's a big part of where her focus comes from. So I think the way they did it is maybe a better way. I think maybe, although mentors that are perfect can be nice too. But this one's more fun, and I think it paints a clearer picture for her. But yeah, good seeing you. I sound like a creepy stalker.
Liz, I also saw you in 13 and Victorious and now this. So they're all music-based, but it's open to anybody. I was wondering if music-based TV and film stuff is more interesting, and like if you're drawn to things like that more than regular non-music things.
I think we can all say this one falls into like a middle category because we're singing live. That was the difference with this one. Usually with film and TV, you have to record for technical reasons, right? I mean, it's hard with playback and everything. You can talk too. I feel I'm talking for like a half hour now.
Go, baby, go.
No, I don't know. But this one, it was cool enough. I mean, it is TV, and yet it felt like theater, just like the acting felt like theater. We shot everything. A lot of it was, done in one. We did a scene in one take. The 3 of us have that great scene that's in one take. So much of it was live.
Because it was too cold out.
Well, that and other things. We keep the energy up in the show, and then as far as the live singing, it felt like we were performing concerts because there would be extras and there'd be actors watching us, perform these concert scenes, but they would be watching a real show because we'd all be singing and playing. So it felt like the real deal. So it felt like we were performing in front of an audience. And I think when you watch it at home, that energy will be electric, and you'll feel like you're watching a live rock concert as opposed to something played back and tuned and fixed and all that.
I also was very impressed, and it was once I saw all the shows put together that it really hit me, the way that Dennis wove it all together. It's not like we're doing a scene and then we're going to stop and here's this musical number. It was all very intuitive. It all flowed, so it made sense. Like we're in a rehearsal studio, so we're practicing a song and then we're going out onto the stage, and so it had a really nice flow to it that made it particularly fun and cool to do.
The other thing is there's not as much music in this show, even though it's called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, and we're talking about it. There's not as much music in there as you would think. The show's really about our relationships and the stuff that's going on. I mean, if you add up the minutes that somebody's actually playing and singing in the show, it's very, very little, right?
Well, there's still a lot of good music.
Yeah, and
Great music.
Everyone's like, forget this show. We're
No,
leaving.
but there's very specific songs for each show, and they're going to be released after they air each week, right? So you
There's a
can
whole
get them
album that was
on your
there was a whole album that was
store
made.
thing place.
Let me see this. But here's the thing: is that I'm not a music guy. I'm not a musician. I love TV though. I love watching TV. And when you watch television, they have the soundtrack in it to give you an emotional feeling, to bring you where you want. Except this show, he wrote the soundtrack. So you'll be watching the episode, and then at the end we're playing the song, and it kind of brings the whole episode together, which I kind of never saw in a show before. It's never really been done. She's singing, and then it's kind of like, wow, this is kind of about what just happened. You know what I mean? And there's a whole album coming out with it, and the songs are, if you don't like these songs, there's something mentally wrong with you. They're catchy, they're fun, they're rock and roll, they're poppy.
Okay,
and she's awesome. She's amazing. Even the ones Dennis does are awesome. Did I say even?
Yes, you did.
It came out.
I didn't mean to say even.
That's how it was spoken.
Take the word even up.
This relationship is fucked up. It really is, between me and Bobby.
You're awesome.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you, man.
Okay.
Are you guys going to go on like a Glee style tour next summer or something?
I feel like it'll look different
If this
if we
show
do.
works and it gets to live on the air for a while, the rest of my next 5 years, I will gladly just walk out on stage and go, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Liz Gillies. And then a live Liz Gillies show for 2
and
hours.
Dennis.
And at the end, I
And
come out and I go,
everybody.
ladies and gentlemen, Liz Gillies one more time. And that's it. And we just drive from city to city and publicize the show. And I'll do her laundry,
Yeah, you love
whatever.
driving.
I'll be the driver. I'll drive the tour bus. I literally, with a big Liz Gillies bus. And they'll all be on it. I'll be the driver. Me and John will take turns driving. Bobby, you'll be in the back.
Why in the back?
I don't know.
There's
Just
a
you're
lot of
always gonna
reasons.
be in the back.
I will absolutely not be driving.
Yeah, you
You
can't
won't be
drive.
driving.
You know what's funny too is that everybody, when you see shows, let's be real, not everybody's as funny as everybody else.
Thank you.
This show, everybody is hilarious. You know what I mean? Liz can sing. There's a scene between Elaine and Liz that's one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen on TV. It's unbelievable. With Dennis, my jaw was dropped because I was like, oh my God, did they just say that?
That's actually the episode I decided my daughter can't watch the show.
That's really true.
That is true.
I actually was watching the episodes down and I skipped that scene to show to my family and there was a big gap. Like they were like, what? But what? I'm like, that's just what he wrote. It doesn't make sense. I know. What can you do?
Is anyone's family watching the episode straight through?
My one of those things where my grandma binge watched all 10, loved them, wanted to watch them again. It's more just everyone has that relative they know is gonna hit one.
Wow. Mom, if you're watching right now, I don't know where these cameras are going out to.
Just
don't watch the show, Ma. Where do these cameras go?
Hi, Liz. My question's for Dennis.
A question for me? Are you sure? Because Liz is right here. What? What? You want me to ask Liz something for you?
No,
okay,
no.
go ahead. What?
What would be the best advice you have for a young filmmaker/actor since you participate in the show and you're part of the directing crew?
Nice.
Nice. You know what? Especially nowadays, man, just fucking shoot something. You know what I mean? It's the best answer. I don't care how cheap it is or how cheap you think it's going to look or whatever. Just go out and shoot something. There's so many digitally. I hate fucking vinyl. I'm just going to, lay it
We're
out.
coming out with
records
vinyl, by the way,
fucking
if you guys
sucked,
wanna buy
okay?
it.
When I was growing up, records sucked. They were unwieldy. They got warped. They scratched. The speakers were huge and weighed a ton. If you wanted to shoot something, you had to actually get a film camera, which took forever. I couldn't afford that. We had slideshows in my house. We didn't have a home movie camera. Now
You guys
you
were
have
rich.
everything available to you. I think just shoot something. Get your actor friends together and just fucking shoot something. You never know. What's the worst that can happen? It sucks. You do it over again. So just go out and do something. Commit yourself to one idea. Just shoot the fucker. Was that good advice?
Shoot the fucker, yeah.
Shoot the fucker. And keep it simple. Don't go crazy.
That sounds like a good
Deep
song.
Thoughts
Shoot the
by
fucker.
Dennis Leary.
Shoot the fucker.
Shoot the fucker.
Episode 3, season 7.
Shoot the fucker.
Who will win? So many arms. Who will win?
As an aspiring actress one day, hopefully, I want to know, and I've worked in theater and other things as well, so I've seen 13 too, and I love you in that.
Thank you.
I've seen all you guys in other things as well, so I want to know, every time I've gone on a different set, I've learned a different new thing from being on a set with a different cast, and I want to know if you learn new things still, even as you've been in multiple casts, and what you learned from each other during this process.
I'm a stand-up comic. I've done some stuff, but standing next to they all help me out a lot. This guy right here, honest to God, would come up and go. He just whispers, "Do this, do that," and you're like, "I can't. Like, I don't. Can I? Just do it." And it's so John Corbett tells you to do something, you just do it. Every time it's worked. Leary has told me jokes because I'm a comic trying to get the laugh. Don't do it. Say this instead. You don't have to, and it works. Working with this guy, working with these, both of them are amazing actresses and actors. They're incredible. So I feel lucky as hell to be next to these people. So I learned a shitload from working with these people. They're amazing. And Dennis more than anything.
even Dennis.
Dennis mostly? Even
I will
Dennis.
say, I really enjoyed the opportunity to teach in this circumstance. But really, the truth is, never in my life. I've worked with a lot of people. Johnny Corbett is probably one of the most awesome, on time, prepared, talented pros I've ever worked with, but I never saw him miss a single beat. Cameras roll. This guy is so in control, it's ridiculous. And if you're fans of his, there's a reason. It's because he knows exactly what he wants, and this guy delivers.
I'm so
He's
awesome.
The shit.
You know? I think there was probably a few times when I fucked up.
I don't see
And
it
I
in
just
the real-
acted like I didn't, and because I was the boss, I could act like it wasn't supposed to happen that way.
I would thank you for saying that, you guys. You guys are very nice to say that. But I do go back to the basics a lot, even though I've been doing this for 30 years. I go back to the basics, which are get there when everybody else gets there, or a little before if you can, but never be late to the set, because you got to respect everybody's time. And I try. I don't always do it, but they have these things called sides, which if you're doing a 3-page scene right now, you get these things called the sides, which everybody's holding in their hands and they're trying to learn. And I try to show up not having those, and knowing my lines already because we're about to shoot it. I don't always get to do that, but I just try to do those kind of basic things, and but really respect people's time. Don't make anybody wait for you.
All right. Well,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so much. Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll premieres tomorrow night, 10 p.m. on FX, 10 episodes. I've seen half of them. It's great. Thank you all so much for
Thank you so
joining
much.
me and joining
Thank you,
all of us.
Jessica.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you guys.